Now, number 10. Canterbury Museum Draft Annual Plan Request. Peter? John? Welcome. Far away, gents.
Hi, kia ora. Perhaps before Peter and I offering any background or answering questions, I understand there's been an amendment suggested, which rather changes the nature of the recommendations of the report. So Peter and I had proposed, rather than going through the report itself, just to be available to discuss any questions or implications arising out of that amendment. However, we are happy to discuss anything museum related at the same time.
I'd like to move it as the recommendation, please.
Right, you want to move what?
I'll move the staff recommendation.
Oh, sorry, I've just moved the...
Done it. Moved and seconded.
I got it. I was first. Yeah. If you went back and watched the video, I said it first.
Can I just say, under standing orders, the mayor gets to chair who moves it if there's two different things.
I'll move the amendment then, it's mine.
Okay.
With a seconder.
Sorry, carry on, John.
Yeah, Peter and I are happy to answer any questions on the report.
Okay. Questions, please. Yanni.
Yeah, thank you. Did you got the questions I put in to the briefing? Because obviously there was no time in the briefing to have questions answered. So I put some questions in around other philanthropic funding, but I don't know if I've had a response. Can't find the response.
When were the questions submitted, Councillor?
At the briefing that we had yesterday with the museum.
But I can't recall the team preparing and considering a response to those questions at this point, no.
Right. Do we have any sense of like what the Christchurch Foundation or Rata or lotteries have contributed to the museum?
The museum did not disclose any further commitments against what they reported yesterday.
They did not mention any of those three yesterday.
Yeah, understood, which is why I put the question in, because there was a short briefing and there were no time for questions, so I was told to put them in.
We have no visibility of those organisations being involved today, Councillor.
Right.
And had we answered your question, that's what we would have said.
But have we seen their funding plan, their fundraising plan?
No.
Okay. Sarah, did you have a question? Did you put your...
Oh, I was just going to say that they talked about the fact that they were going to do separate philanthropic funding, but for that last stage, for the exhibition fit out, rather than for the capital. Stage 6.
Yeah.
And that was their position for the LTP and previously as well.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
We're just looking at it, thinking that Pauline's one is actually an amendment to the substantive motion.
You want me to just foreshadow that? Does that make it
No, because we'd do the amendment first. And
So
then
you can
we'll
move
go
the
to the substantive.
staff recommendation.
So
Pauline
you
moves an
can see,
amendment.
if you look on here, what's happening here, you can see by the crossing out, the underlining is the amendment that Councillor Cotter or Deputy Mayor Cotter has made to number 4. She's proposing to add 5, add 6, 7's the same, and delete 8. So it's an amendment to the... can we just confirm who your seconder is, Sarah?
Second the amendment.
Okay. Let Pauline. Yep, fire away, mate.
Thank you. Look, the reason that I've moved this as an amendment was first because I was too slow to move it as the substantive. Didn't have enough breakfast. But I believe that this is quite a significant decision. I think it would be really good to hear from the people of Christchurch on whether we commit funding to this project. The funding is spread out over several years, I think about 4 years. It's of the 25 million, the museum is asking 21 from this council and the balance from the other 3 councils who are also involved. So it's not all in one hit. It is capital, so it's got a smaller rate impact than if it was operational. So I think this actually gives us a chance to hear from the people of how much they value this regional facility. When I say regional, it spreads out over Canterbury. And then we can take a lead from that and reconvene before the end of December. The last meeting looks like it's the 10th of December, and make a decision at that point. So I think this is a pragmatic way to deal with this really tricky issue. The museum has, I know that we are once again a little bit between a rock and a hard place, but it comes to how much value you put on this as a facility and an attraction for Christchurch, Otatahi and the surrounding areas, and that we will wait to hear from the people. So I think please support going out for consultation, because this is the best way that we can gauge our future direction. Thank you.
Sarah, you seconded it. Do you want to chip in?
I'll just hold mine to near the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I just wonder if someone could explain how it's going to work.
Peter, you can't explain how it's going to work, could you?
Sorry, I'm probably being really thick. What I don't understand is we would agree to consult, then we'd make a decision in December, and then would that where's the financial impact? Does that get baked into the next annual plan? So is it?
So I'm assuming that the December is to be able to give them comfort or not by their requested January cut-off in terms of letting the next phase or a portion of it. And so that would ultimately be an approval to commit before the next annual plan goes out for consultation. But the commitment is there, so effectively it would be a between annual plans.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Approval.
All right. So we'll go into debate for the amendment. Who would like? Sorry, Kel. Fire away.
So we're only pulling the amendments only about the consultation? Pauline? Sorry? The amendments only about the... Is it only about the consultation? Essentially, okay.
And then make a decision get the feedback from consultation.
Okay.
Before the end of the year. They needed an answer by January in order to get the security or the surety for the pipeline of work and their contracts to be signed. If we don't do this, it's a rock and a hard place. If we don't do this, it's going to cost more in the long run to finish it. It's just for consultation at this stage.
Just to clarify the process, that the museum come in a funny time that doesn't fit in with our annual plan, to be baked into our annual plan. So this would allow, from my understanding of what you're proposing, to be consulted about it. Then it can be baked in the next annual plan potentially, but the museum will have, if it goes through their surety, that it is coming in the next annual plan and they can bake it into their project. Otherwise, they're potentially unsure about whether the money's coming.
So should this be called a special consultative process? Because it will be a rate impact.
No.
Okay.
Just a consultation.
Right. Cool. Yeah, hang on. Yeah. Aaron, did you have a question? And then there's Vic, and then there's Sam.
Yeah, just a couple of questions on timing. How long ago would have they needed to have come to council for us to know to get it into this year's annual plan? 10 weeks? 12 weeks ago?
No, they would have needed to last year.
Last year.
To get it in, in the queue.
Right, okay. So in December, so what are we, that's what, 4.5 months ago. at which point did they not realise they were kind of off the mark by $50+ million?
The trouble is that their process is wound into their act. That's right, isn't it, Peter?
Their consultation process, yes.
Is in their act. So that's why we need to get ahead of their act.
But they didn't know 4 months ago that they were going to be that. Because normally, I mean, crikey, if I'm working on something and it's going to be out by $50-odd million, I'd be spotting that a wee way off. Yeah, so if they told us that last year, why? Okay, obviously didn't sink in here.
Sam?
Yeah, thanks. Just two things. Just the 10th of December, like, would we not be better? I'm just thinking of, when we did the stadium consultation with the extra money, we did it within the term. So is there a reason we would delay it till after the election, or whether we're actually better to just get it done before the election?
I think this is saying no later, no December, because we haven't had time to even look at where we'd fit it in our consultation process. So this is just saying no later than this.
So could we change that to no later than the election? Because, I'm just thinking of how we're overlaying it with terms.
We haven't had a chance to talk to our consultation team or anything. We will aim for that, but I'd hate to have that deadline.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And just the other one is, are we going to put some conditions around, like, would we go out and consult saying, would you be comfortable with us giving the $21 million, well, when I say giving, people of Christchurch paying the $21 million, provided that the other councils contribute and the government contribute, and then what happens to the philanthropic portion? Like, how are we, because what Tom said yesterday was, if they'd love our 21 mil, but actually if they didn't get the rest, then they would just spend the 21 mil and we'd still not have a museum that's open. So it wouldn't, in my mind, it wouldn't make sense to spend the 21 mil if they're not getting the rest of the money. So can we be explicit in these resolutions around the sort of co-funding requirements? Oh, so
in public.
I agree with Sarah Templeton, and I've just set it onto the green line.
So would we want to put that as a noting provision that the expectation is that the Crown contribution will also equal the local government contribution as anticipated?
It's what we're going, I guess it's just what we're going to consult on. Are we going to consult saying, people of Christchurch would pay provided that the government and the other councils also contribute?
Yeah.
Like that, and then, because
I'm happy to do that. What's the wording we should put in then?
So I think perhaps it's because I've only just seen this now. Sorry, so I'm thinking off the top of my head. Is I agree to consult with the community on options regarding. So because you're saying, do we consult it? We just give it outright. Do we give it conditional on things? Do we give a proportion? So you're saying, from what I understand, you're asking what options are we consulting on?
Well,
what are
probably a bit like the LAP in a way, is we go out with a proposal which, in my mind, if we're going to do it, would be contingent on government and other councils. Because what, unless I missed it, what Tom said yesterday was the day before, the 51 mil was what they need to fix the shell.
No, the shell's finished. The 51 mil is to fit out the shell.
Sorry, to fit out the shell, but then you wouldn't, so it wouldn't make sense to only give them 21 that doesn't fix that. If the government
take 5 minutes because we need to just clarify. I'm not quite sure
Okay.
that I understand what you're asking. Whether people want to go out with one option and define what that is now, or go out with a few options that we're consulting people on. So can we take 5 minutes and just clarify what you're proposing?
Yep, 5 minutes, please. Okay, well, welcome back, everyone, and sorry for that wee delay. The mover and seconder have agreed to the change in this, which was now becomes the substantive, and there's no other debate. Yes, certainly.
Close on this. Thank you for the mover and seconder for accommodating this. I think it's a pragmatic way to go, as I said, of course. But I'm hoping that in the consultation document there will be the reference to the rate impact, which is 0.01, 0.03, 0.05, 0.05 over 4 years. I think that needs to be stated in the document too. So providing that happens, and all good. So please support this. Thank you.
One of the things that's going to happen, we'll go out for consultation. We'll hear, hopefully, clearly one way or the other. Yes, we will, or no, we won't. And then we know what the residents actually want. We could make a decision here today which we could be very popular or unpopular with. So let's get it, from the people. One thing I do know that we heard yesterday, the price, and I checked it out this morning, the price for the fit out which is what we've been asked for the contribution to, is held. It's been priced. They need to press the go button by January, and that price is held for 3 years. So that's what we're looking at, and it's a price. It's not a guesstimate that's going to go through the roof, from what I'm told. So we've got a question or debate. Sorry.
Thanks, and like Pauline said, thanks for incorporating this. I think it makes a lot of sense. Both the staff recommendation and the current motion both talked about doing consultation with the community. It's just that it was a bit nonsensical to consult after the deadline. And I think that bringing this forward just makes a lot of sense. And looking forward to hearing from the community and using, if the community is supportive, then using this to trigger further funding for the museum, especially from central government. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Thanks.
Yanni, please.
So I was going to ask if the mover and seconder wouldn't mind a resolution to ask the Christchurch Foundation to help.
Not at this stage.
No.
So
We have someone from the Christchurch Foundation here, not at this stage.
Yanni, also the museum has employed a funding person who seems to be very capable, and I think we should just butt out and leave him to it.
Is there a way then that we can get the philanthropics to work together and have a collective strategy around it, rather than everyone going I just recall some of the horror stories from the cathedral.
That's why they've got a funding manager.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, so let them do the job.
So I'm just wondering, how do we get
We're in debate, mate. Marcus.
Thank you. Really pleased to see us come to this point of going to consultation to the public. It'll be interesting to see the sentiment on this one. We've all seen the cathedral, come to a mothball end where they're on hold at the moment. And I'd hate to see, and I suspect the public will probably hate to see, the idea of the museum ending up anywhere near the same. We want to be able to give the museum the certainty that they can go forward. So this consultation is to give us some sort of feedback from the community. Do they agree that we step up and give them the certainty for the funding, which is in the outer years, years 2, 3, 4, or do they not want us to support the museum and allow the museum to fall into a mothball state? Because what I hear around the traps is that the museum not being available 5 years is already hurting people. People don't like that idea. So hopefully when this consultation goes out, we can feel the pulse of the people and get some certainty as to whether we can commit early next year at the latest. So let's get on with this and get that consultation out to find the will of the people.
Tim?
Thank you. I too want to hear from the people, and I will keep an open mind until I do. The one thing that I will insist on, though, is that if the people come back and say, yes, let's do it, that the museum absolutely insists and does the clause that brings our partners, our 3 Fairweather friends next door, in on this to the maximum they are required, because we cannot continue to put pressure on our ratepayers, especially when we're hearing there is a cost of living crisis. Everyone has to chip in. Thank you.
Andre.
I was going to use my 3 minutes to sing Kumbaya, but I remembered I can't sing, so instead I'll just commend colleagues who are coming up with a pragmatic solution here.
Aaron?
Yeah, I'm a little bit torn on this one because the I don't like cost blowouts, but they're very common in this city. So and that's why, like pretty much everyone else here, I'm happy to hear what the public say, but I also want to see a new operating model out of the museum going forward. To be brutally honest, museums are just entertainment attractions, like lots of other entertainment attractions all around the world. And the best museums in the world have queues out the door, and you pay big money to get in. So that's the reality of the field they're in. So just subsidising museums is not the future. Having attractions that people line up and are happy to pay to get into is the way forward. Now, there's two models on that. One is like the one they use in LA, which is a fantastic museum because it's got 3 full-size Tyrannosaurus Rex skeletons there. It's the only museum in the world with that display, makes it unique. Foreigners visiting, like myself, have to pay $27 to get in. Locals from LA County who are already subsidising it get in free. That's quite a good model. And I hope we move towards a model like that we have attractions that people from around the world and around this country and around the city want to see. And I'd like it if the locals and local children who have already subsidised it get in free, and everyone else can chip in to the running of such a great attraction.
Samuel?
Yeah, I'm happy with this. I think it's good to work together with this. I think the key thing here for anyone watching is, that requirement for the government and for other councils to contribute to their, say, all too often Christchurch bears the brunt of this stuff. And I think going out to the public, being really clear that we will look at doing this. They'll have to pay for it if they choose to, but it's contingent on the government and other councils contributing is the really big thing here. I have to say, I agree with Aaron in terms of the operating model. I was sort of concerned to read that the staffing numbers have increased at the museum at a time when the museum isn't open, and I know they're doing stuff in the background, but we do give them, people of Christchurch and Canterbury give $9 million a year to them, and you have to wonder whether there are actually some savings that could be generated from within that to help fund, maybe stage 6 of this as they work through those as well. But I think this is, in my mind, very clear. When we go out and consult, we're saying, if the people of Christchurch want to contribute to this, to get it done, they can, but it is for stage 5, so just literally that stage, and we're not in a position, the museum have said they will contribute to the philanthropic stage of stage 6, so we wouldn't be on the table for that, but this gets to that final point. And it really is going to be for others to commit, or else this doesn't go ahead, but I think we're doing our bit by listening to people, so a good outcome.
Okay, thank you, Sam. So that's the mover and seconder to have their bit, so I'm going to put this motion. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Thank you, that's carried. Brilliant. Okay, so number 11.